Random thoughts. So twice I've done or I've listed languages, and I've made an error about languages in Tanzania. And I've listed, I remember one time I was doing a list of Bantu, the most spoken Bantu languages, and some people brought it up that I did ignore a language that is spoken by so many people. And I was doing some research. I did some research then, and I actually realized that there's a possibility that that language is actually spoken by quite significant number of people, actually close to 12 million people. So if I had included it, it would have been somewhere in the list. Because I did have languages in the list that had like 8 million speakers and such numbers. And then in the video that I did very recently, it was a video of the most spoken languages in East Africa. And I also excluded this language, and it has like 12 million speakers, as I've pointed out. And if I had included that language in my list, then it would have been number 6 of the most spoken languages in East Africa, with a number that is close to 12 million speakers. And that is the language of the Sukuma people in Tanzania. It was an error for me to omit that language, but I think it's an error that was also fed by something else. Here's something about Tanzania. Tanzania is one of the countries in East Africa especially that don't collect data, official data about ethnic groups. And as we know, ethnic groups have specific languages that they use. So by not doing that, the official numbers about how many people speak specific languages can be very complicated. Of course, there are private players, for example, the Joshua Project. They do collect data about the number of people who speak specific languages in Africa. And yeah, they have a number like close to 12 million for Sukuma. And I think I've seen other sources that are having such a number, or a number that is closer to that. In these other countries, the government collects data about ethnic groups and speakers of different languages. But we have to understand why Tanzania doesn't collect data about ethnic groups. And this is a policy that started immediately after independence. And it's a good policy, but there is a bad side to it. Of course, when you look in East Africa, if you are going to exclude nations that were naturally nations, for example, Somalia was naturally a nation, or Lesotho or Swaziland, or Rwanda and Burundi, Tanzania is the only country that we can say has done very well in trying to build a nation out of very many different groups of people. In Tanzania, people don't talk about their ethnic groups as often as it happens in other countries. And even in their political contests, ethnic grouping doesn't play such a big role like it is, for example, in Kenya. And that's a good thing, because then there is more harmony in the country. There is less strife, there is less tribalism. But it's also bad because as human beings, we belong to families, we belong to clans, we belong to ethnic groups. Like, that's an inherent part of who we are, and we can't deny that. And by Tanzania not collecting that data, is like it is denying the identity of the people, the core identity of the people, I might call it. Yes, I understand that not taking or not collecting data about tribe is, of course, part of a larger policy that has helped the country to build a more harmonious society. But I think there is a middle ground. We don't have to throw away our languages or ignore collecting data about our own languages, African languages, simply because, okay, maybe not simply because it's not an easy thing, but because we want to build a nation. But I believe that it's possible to build a nation while at the same time preserving and working to make our languages stand out and continue being in use for many years to come. So I did make that error, and I admit it is an error on my side, but I also have to say that it's an error that came because of the larger or the way that data about languages can be accessed in Tanzania. I think because the government doesn't collect that data, number one, there are no official sources of the number of people who speak different languages, number one. And number two, because it's the policy of government to try to avoid ethnic talk, then even private players are very cautious in trying to come in and trying to collect data about different languages in Tanzania. But yes, going by what I can access, as the Sukuma language seems like is one of the largest, or one of the languages that has the biggest number of speakers in East Africa and even in Africa. At 12 million, that's quite large, actually. Those are my random thoughts.